talking about some normal things.
Okay. Have you asked any questions yet, or?
I did ask him what sparked his interest in wanting to become a corrections officer. If he would like to, explain himself on that one again.
Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, as I was just explaining, I've been working at the hot dog stand for a long time, and one night it was particularly quiet. I think I'd had like I said, probably didn't have a customer in like the previous hour, and I was thinking, oh, there's got to be literally something else I can do with myself. Like I'm better than this. And then as I had the exact thought, somebody popped an advertisement on Twitter for this place, and then I got my brain ticking. Yeah, more of I know I was explaining. I've been behind bars in this place and turned myself around. I'd like to think and started thinking, what, it would be nice to try and help other people do the same. And then yeah, threw my application in right away, pretty much.
Beautiful. So yeah, that's mainly what I asked him, and I mean him. We were just kind of just chit chatting, waiting for you. Nothing else much
Okay.
about too much.
Well, good. Well, I'm interested. How did you turn your life around, Frank?
So it's funny. It's not funny because I've just found out what happened to him. Bless him. But like, one of the things that like sparked my interest when I was in jail, I was just explaining that I met a lifer called Stewie was his name, which I've forgotten and was just reminded of his name. And he was so nice. I was chatting to him for ages, and then eventually the conversation got into what we did to get ourselves in jail, and it turned out he'd pretty much essentially butchered his entire family. And then when I got out of jail, I kept thinking about him and thinking, it's crazy that someone could be that nice. Obviously, he's been in jail for a long time, and then I guess that gave me a little bit of hope. And then I just yeah, I learnt a lot on a lot of the friends I've made in the city. I also went to therapy one time, if I'm being honest with you. Then at the hospital, just to talk about some of the stuff I was feeling when I come out of jail, and yeah, eventually just kept at it. And I'll be honest with you, first time round it didn't stick. I did something stupid the first time round, and then when I found myself back in jail, I thought, no, this is not for me. I'm being a prat. I need to sort myself out. So I've been expunged twice. I will warn you, I am a bit of a babbler, so sorry if that was a long answer.
No, that's all right. The more you say, the better.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
20 minutes answers incoming.
So you've turned your life around, which is fantastic. But I'm interested. How would you turn other people's lives around? Like, how would you help them to, not make the same mistakes again?
I mean, the way I see, at least from my experience, it's a short experience, but my experience of being here, the way I see your jobs and like some of the really good DLC officers I met when I was in here, is they were very stern to the point where you knew like if you tried anything, that they were gonna they'd be willing to back themselves up, and and they wouldn't take any shit. But at the same time, they were very nice and cordial, and you could tell like they'd want to lend an ear to you, basically. Ask how are you doing. It's amazing how much you'll get out of people when you ask them how they're doing and just get to know them a little bit. I guess Stewie was a prime example of that, because you lot must have done a bloody good job with him. 'Cause he was lovely considering he bloody stabbed everybody.
By the way, I will say this, man. You're doing great. I just want to say, the reason why me and her might not be answering you right away, at least for me personally, I'm taking some notes. So, as you're speaking, I'm just writing down some notes. All
No,
right.
no, it's okay. I remember my EMS interview. No one explained that to me, and like about 10 minutes in, I was just sweating, thinking, "Bloody hell, are they just ignoring me?" And then someone told me, I was like, "Oh, thank fuck for that." Pardon my French.
Of course, yeah, of course. No, you're all right. I just didn't want you thinking that like we're not, we're just leaving you high and dry.
No, no, it's fine. I'll get it.
Hey, so are you taking notes?
Yeah, I'm taking notes as well.
Okay. So, well, let me see. My mind's gone blank. Do you have any questions, Polo?
Yeah. Do you? I'm sorry. This is a random question to you, French. Do you have your radio on right now? Like, or do you have it on very low?
Yes, I have it
Okay.
on low.
All right. Yeah. 1 second. Okay. Yeah, I do have a question. Okay. So I'm gonna kind of give you like a little bit of like a
Scenario.
situational
Here we
question,
go.
right?
Okay.
So let's say you're, you get hired on, right? And you're in the yard, you're in the gem pop yard, and you see another guard, another DOC guard, beating down on an inmate, but you don't know what's going on. You have no idea, no reason. That you have absolutely no idea what's going on, right?
Yeah.
What would you do in this situation? How would you approach it?
My gut instinct, my first thing that popped into my mind. I mean, consider my luck experience is probably going to be a load of shit. But my first thing that comes to my mind was you'd want to make sure, like say, obviously you've just said it was in the general population yard. Is that regardless of let's say for all I know, the DOC officer might have all the reason in the world or no reason in the world for doing what he's doing. However, or she, however, their actions could lead to a bloody riot quite comfortably if anyone was to, see that any of the other prisoners. So I would literally, the first thing is I'd probably want to, make sure, see if anyone else is around, maybe like give some space a little bit, make people back off if they were there. And then eventually I want to approach the situation, especially if the beating was getting a bit too much. And it was getting to the point where, from my perspective, it looked like it might be too far with my lack of knowledge. I'll go over, on the radio and make sure everything's okay with him. And then try and find out what the bloody hell had happened. But yeah, my first thing, I just, even in that situation, my first gut instinct was that could lead to a bloody riot death if it was handled incorrectly. So you'd want to like try and keep the peace and settle it down as quickly as possible. And then some poor bugger's doing an interview, and next thing you know, there's a riot in the middle of his interview, and he's got to go all the way back to the food court.
Right. Right. Okay.
Sorry,
All right.
I was
Yeah, that's
projected a bit there. Apologies.
no, you're all right. Yeah, I mean, that's not too bad. That's a pretty well thought out answer. It definitely could lead to a riot, especially if you're not completely sure of what's going on. Right now, in that same breath, right, in that same situation, let's say you do know the reason, right?
Yeah.
However, it's not a good reason. He's just beating the shit out of him for a bad reason. How would you go about that?
My it again. I'm just gonna go with my gut instinct whenever I enter stuff like that. I'd ask on. I'd want to be asking if there's anyone else on the radio who can come and assist me, because it looks like that officer, if he's lost his rag that much and it's not a good reason, he's willing to beat on prisoners, then God knows what else they're willing to do. And if if no one was there, I would or no one was available, I'd approach the situation. I'd tell him, what are you doing? You're throwing everything. You're throwing your bloody life away. What are you doing? I'd try and talk him down a little bit. Maybe even try and direct some of his anger towards me and distract him a little bit, so the prisoner gets a break from the beating before it gets to the point where they might lose their life or be critically injured. And I would try my I guess one of my biggest strengths, I guess, doing the jobs that I've done in the past, is my willingness to listen to people and talk to people. And I've dealt with a lot of situations in the food court where people are irate and angry. I understand it's a different level of tension in here, but I try and talk him down. Try and tell him, you've got a good life. You've got a good job. You've got a pension, dental, everything. You're literally going to throw it all away for this stupid buddy. What are you doing? You're going to kill somebody. You're going to end up being him.
Right.
You're going to end up being that
Okay.
person with someone else beating on you at some point. How would you feel? I'll try and make,
Right.
and then if they kept on being aggressive, then I guess you'd have to try and I don't know, non-lethally try and take him down, tase or whatever. Is the first thing that comes to my mind. 'Cause I wouldn't want to kill anyone if I could help it. There was a full-on babbling answer that. Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right, man. Um, so yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on that, French?
Yeah. Pretty good. Pretty good answer. Let me see if there's anything else. All right. Let's say if you got, you're on duty, you see someone at the fence. You know, an inmate, sorry, standing at the fence where they're not supposed to be. So they're standing right next to the fence with someone on the other side, and you know they're trespassing. They're also right next to the fence. What are you going to do? How are you going to approach the situation?
Remember when I came in here, mate? I said, "Oh, like I'm nothing but honest these days about my past transgressions."
Mm-hmm.
So,
Of course, yes.
I'll be honest. I was called for. I've been the person on the other side of the fence handing something over. And I was giving food. I was giving
Oh my god.
I was giving glizzies to my friend. Oh, because
Okay.
I felt bad that I wasn't giving anything bad. I was giving hot dogs and tater tots to my friend. Scotty was the warden at the time, and Scotty saw me doing it. And honestly, back then, the way he handled it was actually pretty immaculate, if I'm being honest. He came over to the fence. He called me an absolute. He knows me, so he said, "Frank, you're an absolute prat. What are you doing?" I told him. I said, "I'll be honest with you, Scotty. I'm part of the reason this person's in here because I said basically what happened was I said their name when I was saying hello to them, and it turned out they're the warrant, and there was a police officer in the queue behind him. So next thing you know, they were in cuffs. And I said, I felt bad about it, blah blah blah. And he said, listen, at the end of the day, your feelings and your guilt is going to get you behind bars if you had the wrong person doing this. If you had a different DOC officer. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you once to get away, never do this again, and we'll give food to CJ if she's hungry, okay? And I remember feeling bad, like I'd done something wrong, like when your teacher used to shout at, like your favourite teacher used to shout at you. And I went back in my car with my tail between my legs, and then I never did that again, to say the least. But yeah, I thought the way he handled it was really good. He came over, he just conversation, listen to CJ, back off, get away from the fence. Frank, what are you doing? Had an honest conversation with me, treated me like an adult, and then shouted at me like I was a kid and made me feel bad.
I'm so sorry to interrupt y'all, but we currently have a returning situation right now.
On pause again. Go on. It's okay.
All right. Sorry.
No,
Sorry, man.
I can't wait for take 3.
Hello?
Let's open the door for you.
Thank you, man. We'll see you again soon, Frank.
Go on.
All right?
Good
Sorry,
luck.
man.
Good luck. No, it's okay. Don't worry. Bloody hell.